Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to the Library Tour of Doom, a library tour to end all library tours conducted by Lord Ganesha and me and designed to outlast you, to bury you. We're going book by book through the books that I have here at Hyde Cottage, through the ebooks that I have here at Hyde Cottage. Heard a great number of you have said, when are we going to get more ebooks? They're coming. They're all coming. And also, by popular demand, through my book notebooks. So where I talk about books that I don't have here on the shelf, but that I have read, that I have long and tedious opinions. So who knows when this will end? It may never end. This, today, is a volume of poetry from the High Victorian era, from the 1890s. This is A Shropshire Lad by A.E. Houseman. This is in a little, what is this, a pocket edition? Is that what this is? Complete and unabridged pocket. Yeah, an Avon pocket edition from probably 80 years ago. This is a small collection of poems. This collection has become famous. It wasn't universally embraced when Houseman first wrote it. It's gauzy, lachrymose. It's very syrupy and sentimental. Poem after poem after poem, basically about young men. How evanescent they are, how yearning they are, how easily damaged they are, how the world can treat them poorly, that sort of thing. And if I remember correctly, critics liked a lot of the. I'm not meaning to reduce this just to what my fellow critics say. That won't be all that the Library Tour of Doom does. But it's natural that I'm going to think that way. And if I remember correctly, critics didn't universally embrace this. A lot of them recognized that it was structurally very good stuff. But I don't think they universally embraced it, and the public didn't either at first. And then the crucial thing happened that you would need to happen if you wrote an archly sentimental and sort of bucolic little collection of poems about delicate, beautiful young men. A thing happened that was made, just tailor-made, to make that book take off as a success, and that thing is war. Because when war happens, you start to lose those young men, and they start to notice that they are an endangered species, and both those things can cause the public to embrace this book, and that's exactly what happened. First with the Boer Wars, and then with World War One. Oh my God, World War One, I hate to put it in such mercenary terms, but World War One was the making of this book. Suddenly every single beautiful, tussle-haired young English lad who was sent to hopeless trenches in order to drown in mud or be blasted apart by shells had a copy of this book in his rucksack. And all of his relatives had them back home. All the undergraduates at all the colleges had a copy of this, knew it by heart. And that was the making of this book. That was the life spring of it. And it has gone on from them to become enshrined as a classic of English, a classic volume of English poetry. And I don't mean to say all of that to underplay it. I think there's a lot of very effective stuff in here. The book came in for, especially once it became a success, it came in for a great deal of parody and ribbing. And to his credit, Houseman liked a lot of that. It made him chuckle. He could be stiff and bristly, but he took that kind of ribbing as exactly what it was, which was a tribute. Even the meanest parodies of that kind, even if the author of the parody doesn't intend it that way, they are tributes. And he understood that. He understood that, I think, if he didn't understand before then, he understood with that flood of parodies that he had written an immortal work. Which is no small consolation for any author, no matter how bad the parodies are. And this old Avon edition, believe it or not, is the only edition of this book that I have. I don't have a Penguin Classic, even though I'm pretty sure there must be one. I don't have a nice illustrated hardcover edition. There have been plenty of those, and I don't have one. There have been many, many, many editions of this book, and somehow or other, I've had other editions over the years, but somehow or another, I checked. This is the only edition of this book that I have right at the moment. This dinky thing that's been read a million times and beaten up. You've got a sylph-like young man in contemplation on the cover, and on the back cover you have Wilson. There's young Wilson looking off into the distance. He has no idea that he's about to go to the Somme and get his arch English-style prose hammered out of him. Come back a bitter and changed man. But I thought, since we're dealing with this, surely I should read you one of these. And there is one that is more famous than a lot of the others. I want to see if I can get to it. The problem here is that this is the poems are numbered. Now, you're going to know some of these. Oh, I completely forgot. This little edition is illustrated with a tombstone. That was a lot of the parody. Is that the poems are constantly reverting to the tombstone and to the inevitability of the grave. And that had a lot of people. That had a lot of people mocking it because that's easy to mock. But let me see if I can find. Boy, I should have prepared. I should have prepared because there's one that is very famous. I mean, there are lines in here. One of these poems starts off with "Terence, this is stupid stuff." That was famous once upon a time. There are some phrases throughout that are famous and that have become titles of books on their own right. And the overall theme of the thing, the fleetingness of youth and the endangeredness of young men going off to war or whatever, is universal. I don't think that young men carry this on their person anymore when they go to war. I'm pretty sure that doesn't happen. Now you just know I'm not going to be able to find the poem that I'm talking about. A lot of you will already know what it is. It's "To an Athlete Dying Young." That I wanted to read to you because it is extremely effective. But now I'm not going to be able to find it in here. I should be able to go straight to it. But, here we go. Okay, I found it. "The time you won your town the race, we chaired you through the marketplace. Man and boy stood cheering by, as home we brought you, shoulder high," meaning we're carrying you on our shoulders in triumph as you raise your hands in the air. "Today the road all runners come, shoulder high we bring you home, and set you at your threshold down, townsman of a stiller town." A fantastic, a quick juxtaposition between carrying the young boy on your shoulders to cheer him through the marketplace and carrying his casket also on your shoulders. Fantastically done. "Smart lad to slip betimes away from fields where glory does not stay, and early though the laurel grows, it withers quicker than the rose. Eyes that shady night has shut cannot see the record cut, and silence sounds no worse than cheers after earth has stopped the ears. Now you will not swell the rout of lads that wore their honors out, runners who renown outran, and the name died before the man. So set, before its echoes fade, fleet foot upon the sill of shade, and hold to the low lintel up the still defended challenge cup. And round that early laureled head will flock to gaze the strengthless dead, and find unwithered on its curls a garland briefer than a girl's." With the allusion there being to the ghosts of the dead that Ulysses discovers in the underworld, in the Odyssey, where he goes to the underworld and the strengthless dead are watching because someone has come to them who is a hero from the world above. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. And you can see from that little poem, despite my many interruptions, you can see the kind of loveliness you're going to get in this volume. It's all throughout. It's just a beautiful thing to read. And that is your book today. It's a slim volume of poetry. That arch nemesis from this channel, but not all slim volumes of poetry are bad. We're going to encounter plenty of them in the Library Tour of Doom, those of you who live. Anyway, that's it for now. I will wrap this up, but I will be back. Thank you, BookTube.